This is Film Don't Lie on A2D Radio. And as always, we are brought to you by Alonzi Travel, specializing in creating the vacation of your dreams at Disney, Universal, or wherever your heart calls you. Let their talented team of travel experts, including or especially yours truly, myself, create a custom vacation for you. We've got some packages out for 2026, both Disney, Universal, Disney Cruise Line. So, guys, it's never too early to start planning your vacation. Trust me, as a travel agent, it's always best to start planning way ahead of time. Way ahead of time. That's when you'll get the best flexibility and the best rates. So let me know. Hit me up. I am glad to help you with whatever your travel needs are. So it's myself. You see me on the screen, which is a total different thing from last week when we had four of us. My co-host Pete, as you know, is not here, but he is going to join us a little later on. He's having just some issues at home in terms of his electrical issues. He's trying to get that fixed, so he will be on with us in a bit. Also, if you notice, we're actually live. We don't get to go live very often. We usually pre-record and then come out on Wednesday mornings. But if you're watching us right now, yes, we are live at the moment, and I am grateful. I'm always grateful to be live with you guys. So if you got any input, anything you want to contribute to the show, as always, make sure you hit up in the chat and let us know. It'd be great to have you. But not only that, guys, as I continue, we have a guest on with us. And if you've been watching this show since the beginning of the year, we always try to have some guests to help us with the conversation, around the league. And so this is going to be the first time I have this guest on. Me and him conversate all the time on Twitter, and we have great conversations. He works with the Packers, and before anything else, I'll let him do his own intros. But it's my friend Jacob Westendorf. Jacob, thank you again for coming on with me and being on the show. So plug yourself a little bit. Tell us a little about yourself and the work you do.
Yeah, so Jacob, you can follow me on the socials socials. That pretty much means just Twitter. I never made the jump to Blue Sky. I'm old and don't want to learn how to use a new app, basically, even though I know it's basically the same thing. I am on there, but I don't use it. Packers on SI, so si.com/NFL/Packers. Bill Huber is the editor, chief extraordinaire, president, whatever you want to call him, for me over there. And then I get to do 5-6 stories or so a week. It depends. So I'll cover the games. So I was in Green Bay for Sunday's game against Detroit. Got to do a few stories off that. After every game, I'll do like some stock stuff, some basic can stuff. I grade how each unit plays during the games. And then if I'm at the game, I grab some stuff from the locker room or from the podium or whatever and try and spin that into stuff. So like today, I had a story come out about Rashawn Gary. Gary, it was the first time in his career on Saturday night before the game, he was named a season-long captain, and he hasn't been a captain since he was in high school. And I haven't even confirmed that he was a captain in high school, so it may be his first captaincy ever. So that was kind of cool to learn about that, what that meant to him. Being a captain of a team like the Packers obviously is pretty prestigious. There aren't a lot of guys that have been able to do that in a team with such a rich history. And then Thursday, I have a story coming out about Chris Gizzi, and this is a guy, for those that don't know that name, I don't blame you, but back in 2001, after the 9/11 attacks, the NFL put games on hold for a week. The Packers were the first nationally televised game, and they played against the then Washington Redskins, and Gizzi was in the Air Force at the time. He ran out of the tunnel with the American flag sprinted to the middle of the field. So I got to talk to him about what that was like, since they're playing Washington. It's on the anniversary of 9/11, all that stuff. But that's kind of what I do. And then every Tuesday I'm on the Pack-A-Day podcast, which is known by Andy Herman as the pod father, so to speak. And I do that with Jacob Morley. And then during the spring, summer, I do the Green Bay Draft Guide, which is even more paramount for people to get this year if you are a Packers fan, because as we know now, they don't have a first-round pick until 2028 because there's some guy named Micah Parsons that's playing for the team now.
Worth it, I'd say.
Yeah. Through one game, I mean, he's a guy who I've seen a lot of players play in person, and the take I was sitting on because I didn't want to overreact, but I guess that's kind of what we do in week one is Micah Parsons is the most physically gifted player I've seen play in person this side of Julius Peppers in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a very impressive athlete, very impressive person, and a couple times I've gotten to talk to him. Excited to see the impact that he can bring, and hopefully a Lombardi trophy at the end of when it's all said and done.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm glad that you got to watch him for that first game. And we'll definitely get into that, especially with our poll question, which is the Green Bay Packers should be the favorites to win the NFC North after their statement win against the Detroit Lions. Agree or disagree? I'm going to let you answer this first, obviously, but I wanted to also preface this by saying on our prediction show that we had last week, my co-host, he picked the Lions to win out of respect, but I did go out on a limb. I did pick the Packers to win that division. They to me seem like a team for, I guess, like you can say like 2-3 years. We're on the cusp of having so many like good players, but they were missing one or two marquee players on either side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with Micah coming in and then Matthew Golden, who I am very high on, coming in for the offense, potentially having the upside of being the wide receiver one, it just makes them feel like they're taking the next step. But with you being close to the team and working, in that media, what is your take? Do you think with that win, should they be looked at seriously as NFC North favorites?
Yeah, so before the Parsons trade, I was toying with, is Green Bay going to miss the playoffs? Are they going to sneak in as a 7 seed like they did a year ago and realistically not really contend? That game against Philly, I know it was close for a minute, but it was never really that close in my estimation. I never felt like the Packers were a threat to beat the Eagles at the Link last January. So, coming into this season, there were just too many. And last year, I drank all the Kool-Aid. They had that season where they blew Dallas out of the water. They took the 49ers to the brink of elimination. I was like, Jordan Love's going to win the MVP. The Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. Like, I just felt like that team was ready to take off. And then they really didn't. And a lot of those same questions that came out of last year were kind of answered, but also not really. They added Golden, like you mentioned, and he's looked the part since day one. But how good is Jordan Love? I think that was a fair question to ask coming into the year as far as a championship level quarterback. Is he a good quarterback? Certainly. Can he play well enough in the playoffs? As of right now, he's played really good in one game and not real great in the other two. So that was, I think, a question worth asking. But after the trade for Parsons, like I mentioned to you pre-show, it was just a shot in the arm to the entire organization. And a seismic move like that is just, the players aren't blind to that either. They know the Packers. Moves like that across the NFL don't happen often in general, and they really don't happen that often in Green Bay. So I think Sunday's game was like the culmination of kind of like the saying of the Packers saying, like, we're here and we're ready to roll. Because last year they stunk against the league's best teams. They were 0-6 against Detroit, Minnesota, and Philadelphia, respectively, if you include the playoffs. So they didn't beat any marquee teams last year. Now, is Detroit going to be a marquee team? Maybe it'll turn out that they're not. I still like the Lions roster. I still think eventually Campbell will get those guys in line, moving the direction that they need to go. And there's still a lot of talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that they have. But I think, Green Bay, after watching, week one, Chicago struggled. Caleb Williams looks a lot like rookie Caleb Williams. Maybe that'll change. But as of right now, he looks like rookie Caleb Williams. J.J. McCarthy struggled before turning on the Jets in the fourth quarter there. Minnesota's defense, I think, will be pretty good. But best all-around team. I think before the year anyways, Jordan Love's the best quarterback in the division. That usually puts you ahead of the curve in general. As Philly's had the best quarterback in the NFC East for, it feels like, about 20 years between Hurts and going back to the McNabb days. So you guys know that deal pretty well.
Yeah.
But I think that, Sunday's game, that was a defensive domination by the Packers. They gave up 6 points while the game was in any question at all. And it took a great one-handed snag from Isaac Tesla in the back of the end zone for the Lions to even score a touchdown. And that is a team in Green Bay that Micah Parsons only played 30 snaps. He didn't have a full workload in Sunday's game, and he makes guys like Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness and all these other players better. So, I definitely think Green Bay is the favorite. Obviously, injuries and that sort of stuff can change everything. But after 1 week, I don't know how, unless you want to confirm a prior, I guess, but I don't know how you watch those other three teams play and say, you know what, as of now, from what we've seen, there's a team better than Green Bay right now.
Yeah, I agree. And don't mind me, I'm changing the camera angles a little bit, trying to experiment with some layouts here on StreamYard. But
The wider, the better.
yeah, the wider the better. Yeah, I tried to see how would that square look like. I'm like, no, let's go back to wide. So I do agree with a lot of things you said, and I think a lot of people, especially with fans outside of that the Packers, the Packers bubble, I think they don't realize from top to bottom how balanced the roster is, because a lot of the names on the Packers, they're not household names, like I alluded to earlier. So when I was rewatching that game and just taking a closer look, and I popped on a little bit of the film to see some of Jordan Love's throws, and he was good.
I would say, what was your take? Because I thought he was really good to start, hit a lull in the middle, and then finished really, really well. He really
I
only
agree.
had the two turnover plays I think were pretty rough. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I think what was that was it the end of the third quarter or early
End of the third, he throws a pick
right?
six to Brian Branch that was called back, which was really a great play by Branch. He's awesome. But the play before that, he threw one and it hit Alex Anzalone right in the hand. And
right in the hands, yeah.
Changing pick. So I thought he was really good too, though.
Yeah, an interesting thing that I've listened to with Jordan Love is that he gets the reputation of being your classic type of gunslinger, right? And with the Packers, you guys are all about you guys know all about the gunslingers. You had Brett Favre, then Aaron Rodgers coming in, and then Jordan Love. And the assumption from people who don't really pay close attention is that Jordan Love is that type. I think that a point that was made by one of the podcasts that I listened to is that he's not as inconsistent as people think. It's just that the misses are really bad.
Yep.
So they show up on like the low lights or highlights, whatever you want to call them. So they're really bad. So people see that and like, oh, like this is like an up and down type of guy. But if you look from a consistent down and down basis, it's not that there's a lot of it like low lights or bad plays. It's just the ones that do pop up are bad and they're dumb, right? So I think with Jordan Love, and this was something that I had said going into last season, I felt like with him and CJ Stroud, there were two quarterbacks who finished so strong in the year before and were being propped up very, very much by media as, hey, they're on that verge of being considered amongst the top tier quarterbacks. And I wanted to pump the brakes because I said, okay, like I like Stroud and I like Love a lot, but they need to see it I need to see it over the course of the season. Now, last year, as we all know, he gets injured on the second to last play against the Eagles in week 1. I really feel like that affected him the whole year. It doesn't excuse some of the stuff that we haven't seen, but I think one of the things that I think come into mind when it comes to Jordan Love and why that injury might have really affected him more than we want to let on is that I want to see Jordan Love scramble more and use his legs more. And because he's not like a statue. I mean, he's no Lamar Jackson, but he's not a statue. I think that we've seen quarterbacks, even though they're not the greatest athletes, as long as you're good enough, you still should be able to make plays with your legs. I didn't see that enough from Jordan Love last year. And so I want to see that moving forward. But overall in week 1, I do feel like outside of those couple of plays that were turnover worthy, we saw what really makes him very traits wise so tantalizing, because he has that big arm and has good arm talent and he will pull the trigger, and I like what he's being able to show just 1 week in. So I'm hopeful. I think Jordan Love it might have not have been last year, but I think this season with the weapons he has and the balance on the team has, will be able to make that next step forward that maybe we didn't see last year, but finally get to see this season. So I do like Jordan Love quite a bit and think he'll play well this season.
Yeah, and he kind of set the tone in Sunday's game. Is he talked before the first game to the reporters and was like, his thought in his mind was Green Bay wins the toss, they defer, 3 and out, Parsons gets the first sack, and then just kind of sends Lambeau into a frenzy. And it didn't work that way because the Lions won the toss. So Jordan Love got the chance to set the tone. They converted 3 third downs on their first drive. 3 different receivers catch the ball on those. Wicks catches one, Golden another, and then the touchdown pass to Tucker Kraft. And then conversely, later in the game, it's 7-0, and the Lions don't even have their sea legs underneath them. And the Packers were terrible in the first half last year against Detroit, Minnesota, and Philadelphia specifically. I think I had the numbers. I think in the first half, they were outscored like 34-13 or something like that against those. It was awful. And so to get off to a good start against those teams was paramount, especially on Sunday. And then Detroit goes down the field. They have a 16-play drive and kick a field goal to make the score 10-3. And the Packers need a bit of an answer drive because a 3-and-out and a punt, now you put your defense back out on the field. It could be 10-10, and the Lions get that extra possession because they deferred. So you could be looking at this game started so perfectly, and we're still losing. You kind of figure out how that's going to work. But then 2 plays, deep ball to Romeo Doubs and a kind of a slot fade to Jaden Reed on a nice pick play by Dontavion Wicks. And it's a touchdown, 2 plays in the game. I mean, at that point, we didn't know it at the time, but at the game at that point, it was probably over with the way Green Bay's defense ended up playing on Sunday. But I thought, he set the tone really well. He is, I think, a lot more comfortable in his skin in this role. It was different. His first season as a starter, he was Aaron's replacement. And now in his second season, he's still kind of battling some of that Aaron Rodgers' replacement stuff. And also like, hey, you need to be a league MVP right now kind of stuff. This year, you can tell he's a little more relaxed. He got married in the summer. I don't know how much that matters, but maybe it relaxes him a little bit. But he's done really well on that front. I think he was elected a team captain, which it wasn't a quarterback's a captain like Coach Eric Taylor says to Matt Saracen, where they just make him a de facto captain. Jordan Love's a legitimate leader in that locker room. He has a calming presence about him, and something about him. It's very similar to the way Jalen Hurts is in Philadelphia, to be honest. He doesn't have the bangers of quotes that Hurts throws out there, but Jordan Love is even keeled. He's kind of the same guy. If you just watch him throughout the course of a game, you never know, is Green Bay up 20, is Green Bay down 20? Sometimes that becomes a criticism because it's like, why aren't you more rah-rah like Tom Brady cussing guys out and stuff like that? But, one of the criticisms of his predecessor was you could look on Aaron Rodgers' face and very quickly know how this game was going. And the rest of the team kind of follows suit that way. So Love has been really good on that front. He's been much through one game, at least, especially this year. He helped set the tone there for Green Bay. And I think that he's poised to have a really good season. I thought he was poised to do that last year. Like you mentioned, that injury. He would never admit it, to his credit, but everyone else around him was like, yeah, this guy was playing on one leg for most of the year. It is difficult. That doesn't give him a complete pass for everything. There are some passes every game that kind of make you go, excuse you? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But, I mean, to Jordan Love's credit, he's not going to be scared off by stuff like that. I asked him last year after they played the Texans, he threw 2 interceptions. And then after he threw the first interception, he threw a touchdown pass to Tucker Kraft, which is on a highlight reel. And it's just a missile over the middle of the field. And it goes right over Kalen Bullock's fingertip. And I was just like, do you need to kind of chill on that? You're throwing a lot at the time. I think he led the league in interceptions. And he just kind of looked at me and said, no, this is the NFL. Like there are no big windows like that to throw into. Like sometimes you have to try and fit a ball in there. And that one was the price of doing business. And he scored a touchdown on the play as a result. I'd like him to dial that back just a little bit, because you got to turn the ball over just a little bit less, especially in the bigger games. But, outside of those 2 plays, I thought he took good care of the ball. On Sunday, he's going to need to do that. Here, Thursday night against Washington. Washington's a team. Dan Quinn prides his team on taking the ball away. They've got some ball hawks there with Mikey Sainer still and Marshawn Lattimore in their secondary. So curious to see what this matchup looks like with Washington. But I think Green Bay's got a big-time opportunity. If you had told every single fan before the season they're going to start 1-1 in these first 2 games against Detroit, they'll be like, you know what? That's better than 0-2, which was probably on the table considering how these 2 teams finished their years last year. But if they start 2-0, you start looking at the schedule and dreaming kind of big. Their next 2 games are against Dallas on the road at the end of September. And the week prior to that, they play Cleveland on the road. So at Cleveland, at Dallas, and home against Cincinnati before their bye week, like you can feasibly, or Cincinnati's after the bye week, excuse me, but their first 5 games, you could feasibly see them starting 5-0. Now the NFL doesn't work that way. Injuries change, all that kind of stuff. But Green Bay has a really good opportunity to get off to a really good start. And again, Sunday's game is a big part of that, because if you start 0-1, it's very easy to get the, here we go again. Can they beat anybody good? Now this game on Thursday is huge. You have to win, which you have to win every game, but you really have to win because you don't want to start 0-2. So the prospects for this team as of right now, sky high.
Yeah, I agree with that. I want to highlight some players that because we know what Micah Parsons is. We talked about Jordan Love a little bit. I want to talk about some players that you could see maybe stepping up. Let's start with this season overall to impact or be contributing factors as to why the Packers are going to win the NFC North. So let's start on the offensive side of the ball since we're already starting by Jordan Love. I don't know if I've told you before on Twitter. I am very high on Jaden Reed. I really like him. Maybe not like as a star wide receiver one, but I love what he brings. As a dynamic weapon. And I do feel that after Golden, he is the next best wide receiver on that team. But what I like about Golden's the addition of a Golden is that now everyone kind of like slides down and slots into roles that may be better fitting for what their skill set is. So I'm high on Jaden Reed, but the one other weapon on this offense that I had said in our prediction show that could this year enter into elite category is Tucker Kraft. Mm-hmm. I think Tucker Kraft could, by the end of the season, could be looked at as their best overall skill position player and one of the top 3, maybe 3-5 tight ends in the league. Definitely top tier. So, what is your viewpoint on these skill position players, and who do you think? Because we already mentioned Golden. Who do you think is going to be the next catalyst into really making big plays for this team?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head with Tucker Kraft. The Packers on Sunday, they ran a lot of 12 and 21 personnel. They want their tight ends on the field. Luke Musgrave's health is a big part of that. He was in the same draft class as Tucker Kraft. But Kraft has proven to be the better player through the 3 years that they've been in the league. We're talking already amongst ourselves, they trade for Parsons and you start doing the cap gymnastics of who they have to keep. And you obviously start prioritizing who's what or whatever. And Kraft is toward the top of that list, if not at the very top of that list for guys they need to keep moving forward. He's easy offense. I think that you can create, get him the ball in space. He's a human car crash. He runs through tackles. Is he going to be a big time seam stretcher like Jimmy Graham in his prime or somebody like that? No. But again, get him the ball in the middle of the field. He's excellent with making yards after the catch. He's a good athlete. He was voted a captain on this team as well. So that was a big step for him in the right direction. His play style, I think, fits exactly what Green Bay wants. I think he's a legitimate psychopath, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. So I think he's one. The receiver part, I think the pecking order is going to be interesting just because Green Bay, they completed 18 passes on Sunday to 10 different receivers. Mm-hmm. And the lead receiver was Jaden Reed with 3 catches, and he was also the leading target guy with 5 targets. They just signed Christian Watson to a 1-year contract extension.
I saw. Yeah.
They gave like the 5th-year option if he were a first-round pick. Watson will be back sometime in October, it sounds like, maybe a little bit later now that it's not a contract year for him. They can afford to kind of wait a little bit on him. But the rest of it, Romeo Doubs, he's been consistent, kind of becomes a bit of a forgotten man. And I think of that group, he's probably the least in terms of natural talent. But he was the one who made the biggest play in the passing game on Sunday as well.
He's always so consistent. Like he's just like he's there and he makes plays. So like
he's got that symbiotic relationship to some degree with Jordan Love that helps him out in that regard as well. So that's one. Matthew Golden, I think, is one who, as the year progresses, you're going to start seeing more of maybe that target share, that volume. I think a lot of people were just kind of hoping that this strong training camp would parlay into like, okay, he's going to go for 500 and a touchdown on Sunday. That's just not what the Packers do with their pass catchers in general. It's not what they do with rookies. If and when he earns that opportunity, though, Matt LaFleur is the same coach that once said into a microphone that they drew up about 80% of their passing concepts through Devontae Adams, and that was in 2020. So that's been quite some time. They don't have anybody like Adams on this team. Adams is the best receiver I've ever seen play in Green Bay, so that's a little bit different. But, Jaden Reed is interesting because he's small. He's a slot-only receiver, and if the Packers are going to play a lot more 2 tight ends, that means fewer guys on the field, and he's injured. He's playing with a banged-up foot. Jason Wilde reported it's a Jones fracture, which is incredible if that is the injury and that is what he's playing through, because that makes no sense that that's the case.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that works for him throughout the year. I'm not 100% sold that the Packers are in love with him. Not to say that they don't like him or think he's a bad player or whatever, just that Matthew Golden's smaller, slender receiver. Ditto for Jaden Reed. With the way Green Bay wants to play bigger and run the football as well, you can't do that with these smaller receivers when you've got some bigger guys. Wicks is a really good blocker. Dobbs is a good blocker. Yes. Their best blocking receiver is Christian Watson. Savion Williams is a guy they picked in the 3rd round. He's got some nastiness to him in the run game as well. So, how do they figure all of that stuff out? Because this offense still, starts and stops at the beginning, at least, with Josh Jacobs and wanting to set up that play action passing game. And Jacobs is one of the leaders on the team as well. So I'm curious to see how it evolves over the season. Personally, none of these guys, this was kind of my point I was making with Golden throughout the summer. None of Green Bay's receivers have proven they are a bona fide star that needs to be on the field for, 80, 90% of snaps, like say Adams did once upon a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These guys have proven that. Dobbs has been in and out of the lineup. He struggled last year with injuries. He also got suspended for a game for going AWOL, just flat ass didn't show up for a couple days. Yeah. So, that was interesting. Watson is, I think, the most talented, but has he's injured currently. He's had some issues with consistency as well. Yeah. Jaden Reed, for as much flack as Dontavion Wicks gets about for dropping the ball last year, Reed was right there with him.
There with him. Yep. Yeah.
Football is, kind of the job. So and he had an opportunity. Big play on Sunday and he didn't. So that's not to say his career's over or anything like that. But I'm curious to see how all this plays out throughout the year, especially if the Packers are going to play bigger, if they're going to play a lot more of those 2 tight end sets.
Yeah.
I think what you'll need to see is who establishes themselves as the guys getting those reps in, 21, 12 personnel as their 2 receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. To switch over to the defense side of the ball before, we wrap up the segment is, you have talk about sliding into other roles after the Micah Parsons trade. A lot of these pass rushers slide into roles that was just like, oh man. And we saw how scary that unit, that defensive unit can be against the Lions. And they took advantage of the Lions, with their question marks now on the offensive line, especially regarding the interior. It's like, how are the Lions going to hold up, over the whole season? So you mentioned Rashawn Gary. Devontae Wyatt had a really good game. We know what Edgerrin Cooper.
He's the one.
Yeah, he's the one. Yeah,
he's the one. That's going to be the guy. He's the guy.
Yep. So and then in the secondary, a lot of names that not a lot of people know. Except outside of Xavier McKinney, because the name for a long time was Jair. Now that he's gone, people assume, they don't have a good secondary. But I'm looking at at the depth chart. I'm just like, these guys aren't bad, and especially Evan Williams. I know that from the safety position, there's some hope with him, and exactly that safety tandem could be good. But yeah, this defense. Give us names to watch out for if you're not following the Packers regularly. What are the names on the defensive side outside of the obvious Micah Parsons that you mentioned Edgerrin Cooper, but anyone else on the defensive side you think is really going to pop this season?
Yeah, Edgerrin Cooper. Just to belabor that point a little bit further, there was a play on Sunday that the Lions run a simple out route out of the backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's hooked up one-on-one with Cooper, and Gibbs is ahead of him, so it's going to be a completion, but you can kind of see they're set to kind of meet. And Cooper makes the tackle, runs with him stride for stride, and it's just that does not happen. Jahmyr Gibbs turns those plays into 15, 20, 40 yarders all the time. And the Packers did a really good job of limiting him on Sunday, and he was a big reason why. So I think Cooper is – I thought he was set up to have a huge year before they signed or traded for Parsons. And now he's going to take a back seat, I think, as a result, which is, probably a good problem to have, but he's one. Lucas Van Ness is another one. Micah Parsons compared him to Julius Peppers. I don't know if that's appropriate necessarily, but I think one of my buddies compared him to, could he be Justin Smith on those old 49er defenses under Jim Harbaugh and Fangio? To the Aldon Smith of those guys. I think Rashawn Gary is going to have a big year with Parsons across from him now. That forms arguably the best pass rushing duo in all of football. In the secondary, you mentioned Evan Williams. He had an interception on Sunday. He had a big training camp last year, and kind of took the starting safety role across from Xavier McKinney from Javon Bullard. And then he got injured and kind of struggled on the stretch, but very smart player, very heady player, kind of knows what he's doing. The Packers have a nice platoon there with Javon Bullard, a bit better of a run defender than Williams is, and Williams is a really good pass defender. So if you get into one of these games where a team's going to try and, like Dallas, for example, in a few weeks, Dallas is going to want to chuck it up and down the field. I think that'll be an Evan Williams heavy kind of game. The cornerback room is the big question mark. Jair Alexander's gone. Keyshawn Nixon is their top corner. The internet hates him. I love him. I think he's an emotional leader for this team. Is he going to be – do you want him matched up one-on-one with Jamar Chase with the game on the line? Probably not. But do you want anybody matched up with Jamar Chase one-on-one with the game on the line?
Not a lot of people outside of Patrick Surtain, so no.
And even him, I'm giving the edge to Chase. So, those are the guys there. Quay Walker is the other linebacker in Green Bay too. He was having a really good – so last year Green Bay played San Francisco and Miami in a 4-day stretch, kind of like what they're about to do now. Walker was coming off maybe the worst game of his career against Chicago 7 days prior, and now he's set to face Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel. And what do those guys like to do? Put those linebackers in a bind. Walker looked like a player who was confident, knowing what he was doing. He still has some issues, not a perfect player, obviously, but I think he was really good on Sunday. I think the tandem of him and Cooper together gives them as fast of a linebacker tandem as they've had. I will not be surprised. I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but if Edgerrin Cooper is a first-team All-Pro at linebacker, that will not surprise me at all. So if you want the name that's under the radar, I don't know how under the radar he is. You mentioned Wyatt too. That was another one. He had a sack on Sunday. It feels like Green Bay's defense has all these talented pieces that were starting to grow up together. And now I'm not a Marvel guy, but what do they call those things that you put on the Infinity Stones?
Oh, yeah.
Parsons was the final Infinity Stone of okay, Thanos is ready. It's time to roll. Now they have a star who can make everyone else kind of fall into those complementary roles.
Yeah, that's a great one. And Jeff Hathaway does really, really good stuff as the DC. So that's what I like about this defense is from top to bottom, it's balanced. There's not a lot of glaring weaknesses, and to attack, in my opinion. So I think that with Hafley, he's going to set them up really well. The last thing I want to do, and before you go, I don't know if you know that I've ever told you, but I'm a Rutgers fan. I went to Rutgers, so watching, I know that's kind of why a big reason why I'm not huge on college football is because my team is my school is they're not going to do anything. But I've always kept an eye on Bo Melton, on this team, and seeing him switch positions. Can you just tell me how impressive has he been going from wide receiver to corner and then making the team as a corner? I did not think – I thought that was a desperation move to hey, Hail Mary to make the roster, but I thought his days were numbered there. But to see he made the roster, I'm like, holy crap. So just give me something to cheer about as a Rutgers fan.
Yeah, he made the roster, and he hurt his shoulder on Sunday and didn't return. I don't think he's going to end up playing on Thursday, but he was the next man up at cornerback. So Green Bay's top 3 guys are Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon. Nate Hobbs didn't play. So their other corner after that is Javon Bullard, who's kind of a slot safety. But if Valentine or Nixon were to go down, need a break, whatever, Melton's the team's 4th corner. I will say it is incredibly impressive that he was able to switch positions like that, and he didn't look drastically out of place. We've seen it before where I remember Kamal Martin switching from inside linebacker to the edge just as like you mentioned, that last-ditch effort to make the roster. And he didn't look like a player. He looked like a player that was moving from inside linebacker to the outside, is trying to make a last-ditch effort. Well, Melton never looked like that. So I'm intrigued to see what happens if he ever does have to play defense. It was a bummer that he got injured, because at minimum, he's one of Green Bay's best special teamers. And that is a big reason why they made that switch, or wanted to make that switch, because they wanted to give him an opportunity to make the final roster because of how valuable he is on teams. But yeah, he's been great. I've enjoyed watching this story. And, the Packers, Sam Shields, not quite the same thing, because Shields was a receiver in college and then switched to corner when he got to the pros. Mm-hmm. But they have some precedent in Green Bay of having something like that work out well. So I'm excited for Melton. Hopefully he's able to come back here in a couple weeks when they play Cleveland. But yeah, so far so good for that experiment.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on him still as the season goes. And yeah, if he plays, I'm going to be like Jacob, Bo, Bo's in there. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on him. But hopefully he heals up and his injury is not that serious. Jacob, thank you so much for talking Packers. I mean, I like talking the league, but it's always good to have someone that actually works for that specific team to give insight that I just obviously won't know. So I do appreciate you coming on and talking Packers. One more time, plug yourself. Where can people find your work and all that?
Yeah, si.com/NFL/Packers. I'll be there. Well, I won't be at the game Thursday night, unfortunately. I got 2 small kids, and they have to go to school the next morning, and it's a big mess. Don't have kids; they ruin your life. No, that's not true. So I'll be at most of the home games. I'll be in Minnesota here later in the year. I'll go to Arizona, so I walk around a little bit for the guys and everything like that. And then on socials at Jacob Westendorf, I'll tweet about a lot about the Packers, sometimes about my kids. I do sprinkle some Philly Eagles stuff in there every now and again. I got a soft spot for them. The Michigan Wolverines, I get irrationally upset about. So that is my college team that I've kind of dumped some fandom into over the last few years as I've worked more with the Packers. So it's been a lot of fun over the last couple of years. It was a nice conflict last night watching JJ McCarthy with the Vikings because I don't want him to do that well because he's playing for Minnesota, but he's the quarterback that won my favorite national championship. So and he's from like an hour from where I live. So I feel like I know him even though I don't. So
gotcha.
I'm interested to see how that plays out through the course of the year here as well. But yeah, that's where you can find me. That's what I do.
Awesome. And we will, you said this before we came on, but with the Eagles-Packers game coming up, what was it, in November?
November 10th. It's a Monday night.
10th. We'll definitely have you back on. We'll talk about, we'll recap that game and give our thoughts. It'll definitely be a good show to have you on.
All right. I appreciate you, sir. Running backs matter.
Running backs matter. That's right. That's right, Jacob. I'll see you on Twitter.
Take care, guys.
Ooh, there you go. There you are.
Yo.
Time. Talk about good timing. Is that we have, Jacob has to go as we wrap up the first segment.
Mm-hmm.
And you come in. How is everything at the house? Everything okay now?
I was about to get on at 10 o'clock and then the power went back out and then we're back on. Like it went out for we lost it Saturday during that heavy rain for about 3 or 4 hours.
Okay, so what you're saying is we at any moment could lose you. So
hopefully not. Hopefully not. I mean, the main reason why I had some issues is because when the power did come back on, a couple of outlets weren't working that were working before. So now, no. So
okay. All right. So praying we don't lose
right.
yourself. All right. So we had a really good conversation with Jacob for the Packers, and I'm telling you, the Packers. I'll let you give your thoughts on the poll question real quick before we move on. But the Packers look good, and that was a convincing win over the Lions. I know that we had conflicting predictions regarding it wasn't like you're crazy kind of thing, but it was close between the two. You picked the Lions, I picked the Packers. Does the win on Sunday change anything for you in terms of what you thought?
Not necessarily. And I think for me, it's just the belief that I have in Jordan Love, and I'm still not sold.
Okay.
For 17 games. Defense-wise, I mean, it looked amazing, right? It looked amazing. Think they would have been juiced up anyway. The trade of Micah a week before the season. Hey, let's go get it, right? And I think, and we also know that the Lions' 2 new coordinators are trying to find themselves. Now, you hold the Lions to 6 points. I believe it was 27-6 was the score, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be tough. But also at the same time, we saw Monday night the other 2 teams in the NFC North play. I'm not saying either one of those teams that played Monday night would I take them as a favorite to win a division. But we saw the tale of 2 teams. So I really think the Packers, if Love can play somewhat consistently, he may be that quarterback in that tier that we always talk about that you can win with. just don't lose because of, right?
Yep.
And I think now with the addition of Micah, they may be in that realm to where it's like, hey, we just need you to not cost us the game.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you just play solid football, play solid quarterback play, and don't be a detriment, they can still win. Is Malik Willis still the number 2 there?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think he's still on the team.
I'm on the verge of saying right now, from what I saw on Sunday, even if Jordan Love goes down, they still win. They still have an above 500 record.
They did some great stuff with Malik Willis when he had to play last year. So I mean,
yeah.
I'm not gonna say like it depends on how many games he has to play. I don't think like Malik Willis can sustain a high level of play for like 5-6 games, but if he has to play like 2 or 3, I still have confidence in him to play well in the games and mainly because of LaFleur. I was about to have a brain fart, but yeah, should be interesting. It was a very convincing win, and it should. The NFC North is going to be a
I would agree. I mean, based on just answering the poll question, the 2 options, blue pill or red pill, I would agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Obviously, because I picked them to win the division, but like, yeah, it's
and the other 3 teams. Well, Detroit really didn't have a good showing, but the other 2 teams that played on Monday night, it was very Jekyll and very Hyde. It was eerily similar to what we saw 24 hours before in the Sunday night football game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which we will probably talk about toward the end of the show. But yeah, absolutely. And I said it to Jacob with the Lions, that glaring hole that right now, the concern right now is the interior of the offensive line. Their strength was the offensive line before. Now it's a big question mark.
Did they lose somebody to free agency?
Yeah, I forget what was his name. It was Ragnow.
Tyler Ragnow?
Yeah.
Or Frank Ragnow.
Frank Ragnow. Yeah, I believe he's the one. I could be mistaken. It's one of their main offensive linemen. Off the top of my head, with me with names. I
right.
But yeah, they lost significant offensive linemen for the season, and now it's just like huge question mark. So that absolutely showed on Sunday against the Packers. So they're gonna have to really see if there's no other solution other than those guys stepping up and playing better as the season goes on. Other than that, they're going to be in for a really tough time all season if that continues to be a problem.
Yep.
So, yep. All right. So let's get to the film room. Good stuff with that first topic, and as we got 4 different cases of film I want to go through. The first one I want to do just real quick. It's nothing crazy, but it's from the first game of the year. It's from the Eagles.
You don't say.
Eagles and Cowboys game. It's the pair of Saquon catches, and the reason why I wanted to touch on these is because I always say, Pete, that like when it comes to grading or evaluating running backs, like people tend to say, "Oh, he's a good receiver out of the backfield," when all that running back does is catch near the line of scrimmage, and like they're not even like they're catching easy passes near their body. When it comes to grading a running back and their receiving skills, you have to look at what they do with their hands. Do they comfortably catch the ball away from their frame with their hands and with comfortable technique, right? So the difference between that and a running back who just does what is expected of them, it can be a huge difference. And there are 2 plays from the game that kind of show this. Now, this is on 3rd down, and this is the play where Hurts is going to scan. He's going to hit Saquon right near the first down mark, and it's a little bit high. Oh, I say a little bit, but it is high. It's a little bit of an errant throw, but why are they able to convert? Because Saquon is able to extend way away from his frame, showcase really good hands, and be able to have the body control to stay in bounds and get the first down. That is why it is so important to catch away from your frame as a running back, because of plays like that. If you can't do that, I cannot label you as a good receiver out of the back or a good receiver as a running back. You have to be able to show those hands. And there's another case in the second play later on in the game, and it's the highlight reel play. Hurts gets pressure. He's going to scramble to his right, and then look, one-handed. I mean, just really easy. And as you notice here too, Saquon is already moving as he's bringing that ball in with his one hand. He's already turning upfield, and that showcases comfortability. I know he had a bad concentration drop earlier in the game where he was peeking, ahead of himself, but this play, I mean, that's just special stuff. So, yeah, I'll play it again. But like any thought, anything you wanted to add to
No, I mean, the motion. For one thing, I've seen just in Thursday from Kevin Patullo to Kellen Moore is we saw passes to the running back. We saw some screens.
Yeah,
Shipley had a screen. I think Saquon had a screen. Even here in that first play that we saw on that third down, that was they motioned Saquon. I don't know if the plan was to hit him in the flat earlier, and if Jalen looked off on purpose, just to kind of decoy it out. But maybe if he gets to that throw a little bit quicker, there's some more yardage that can be garnered there. But I think out of that throw, the very first catch being high, the ability to be able to get the feet in, not just catch it, but able to get the feet in, go out of bounds to keep the momentum moving. I forget which part of the game this was. I'm not sure if this was the first drive.
First quarter, I think.
Respond to the first drive, open the touchdown.
Yeah,
but this was pretty big because this was a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4.
I think 3rd and 5. I think 3rd and 5, I believe.
So it shows that he can make these tough catches. And the next one, the one-handed, almost wish he would have dead-legged a little bit to kind of use the center of the field to his advantage here because it kind of looks like he has a lane. But I mean, the inside leverage, I think is that 59. 50. Is that Murray? Is that Kenneth Murray?
I think it is Kenneth Murray. Yeah.
Yeah, Kenneth Murray was giving him the middle of the field because he knew he had help there.
I think Saquon probably thought that Murray's momentum was going to carry him to the inside, and he was trying to be him to the outside. And Murray actually did a good job of changing direction. Yeah, he did a good job of changing direction, and maybe I think Saquon also kind of maybe like mistimed it. If you want to get a little bit closer, get another 1 or 2 steps
right before you hit the juke.
Yeah, so he probably mistimed it a little bit, but he's able to pick up the first down. So hey, no harm, no foul. So
no, I mean I love to see it. He was useful. I think he only had 60 rushing yards, and I forget how many receiving yards he had. I think Jalen was a leading rusher. But I also think this keeps him fresher a little bit if you can get him more involved in the receiving game. So where we saw 2K say last year mostly on the ground, you may see 2K but all scrimmage this year, and that may be easier on his body to keep him fresher. But I like what I saw. I mean, definitely get the running backs. They still have to run the ball. There could be weapons in the passing game as well. Hell, Brian Westbrook did it for years. That was his calling card, right? I mean, I'm trying to think who else. James White did it with the Patriots. He was notorious for it.
Marshall Faulk,
Marshall Faulk, Darren Sproles. I mean, Darren Sproles on the screen pass. That was almost at one point it could be as take it to the house as money as Randy Moss on the go route. You know what I mean? It was just that lethal. So the evolution of what the offense can be, right? And that's just with Kevin Patullo being there in a different role, albeit, but he was there last year, and probably even last year with the success the offense was having to try to see, okay, have these concepts that, well, if I ever get the chance, I want to bring these to the table, right? And now that it's his baby, what can we do? I mean, AJ Brown, 1 target. We'll see. We'll see.
Yep,
we'll see. I don't know if it's been talked about, what happened. It just didn't look his way. I know he said they were shading to his side, but it's something never seen before. But I mean, for Jalen,
ankle injury too, I think. Or ankle, hamstring. Sorry, yeah,
hamstring. So I mean, he'll have his chances. But even without that, sometimes it did feel as if it was stagnant. Some things, but once again, it's week 1, right? You get the W, you put that notch on your belt, and you move on to week 2.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get to the next clip. I'm excited about this one. Another running back.
Yes,
but the reason why I wanted to highlight Breece Hall is because there's a lot of, and I said this on Twitter. I made a post how like in that draft class, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, they were like my round 1 running backs with elite upside that I was so high on, and they haven't really hit that level yet for other reasons. I mean, with Kenneth Walker, it's mainly consistent injuries, minor injuries here and there.
Mhm.
But with Breece Hall, he had that one season-ending
Major
injury his rookie year, and then had some other stuff with he's on bad teams. So I get it. And this offseason with both of them, there's a lot of talk about timeshare, the RB2 behind them being better than them maybe. There were even rumors about Breece Hall being on the trade block. So
everybody wanted to pick up Braylon Allen in the 5th or 6th round of fantasy draft.
I still believe in Breece Hall, and week 1 against the Steelers, he looked as good as he ever has. And there are like 5 different plays. I don't have to spend too much time on them because I'll let the play do their talking. But like the first one, this is just again manipulating the defensive linemen and the linebackers. If you see here, this is his gap right here, but he's going to make sure this linebacker is squeezed and starts to overplay to this side. This little hesitation to Breece Hall's right is what allows him to get this open running lane all the way. As you can see here, look at that. That's just awesome.
That was Patrick Queen too.
Awesome nuance and patience to manipulate linebackers. Now that lane is open, as you can see, he's going to attack it with a good burst. And I think this was the first play from scrimmage. So this is set.
Was, if I'm not mistaken, that was a 16-yard run after. The one I'm talking about is in this set. I think it may be the 4th play. The next play.
This is just The next
play is where he gets contacted in the backfield and he makes something out of nothing.
This is a 3-yard run, and this is creativity. Like one of the reasons why I liked Kenneth Walker a tad bit more than Breece Hall is because Kenneth Walker did stuff like this constantly, where if there's bad blocking, Kenneth Walker is one of the absolute best at making things happen out of nothing and creating behind the line of scrimmage. But Breece Hall shows here he absolutely can do that as well. Look at this. It's just, there's the vision and the agility, the quickness, the burst to be able to just see that. He's one-on-one with 23 and is just shed that tackle. He's going to press back inside, right? And then
you can tell he trusts his legs now.
Yeah. He's the vision here to see that lane. So he's pressing here to his right, but he's going to see that lane and he gives that dead leg there, gets upfield with that really good burst. And oh man, that's as good of a 3-yard run you're going to see like ever. I don't know about ever. Maybe that's a little.
Ever is a stretch, but from him to where he was at last year, where you can kind of tell he was still recovering, he's starting to get back to what he was early in his rookie year.
Absolutely. That's just awesome stuff. Awesome. So if you were able to shed that tackle from that DB, that would have been even more. But go to the next play. This one, I believe, was. I'm trying to think what happened to this play.
This looks like it's inside. And
this is the reason why I wanted to show this, because to be able to get skinny inside, but then still be able to use your peripheral vision right here, right? So there's so much garbage around him, but to be able to say, hey, I know where my cut is, and to get low, look at him drop his weight when he's in that traffic, and to be able to boom, now he's on the other side of it. It's just very good footwork there and vision to be able to see that, to the side. So yeah, that's very nuanced stuff again by Breece Hall. I mean, it doesn't really look like much when you think about it, but you don't know how many running backs, if they execute this, right? If they're going to execute this zone run, they see this and they're either going to take this up here and put their shoulder down, or this cut isn't as dynamic as that. And there's a defender on the back side trying to tackle him too. Was that the defensive lineman? I can't see what number, but to be able to make
it looks like Hayward. Look, if it's 94.
Yeah, I think and to be able to make that cut and be able to get up there, that's impressive stuff. This next one is
I think this
the
may be
burst.
the one I'm talking about.
This is just pure burst.
Yeah.
We talk about Breece Hall, and like one of the things that we loved about him was his burst, his acceleration to the second level. This is showcased here because who is that right there on the backside? That's TJ Watt, guys.
Mhm.
That is TJ Watt. So to be able to get out of this and just hey, I'm gonna hit the Jets right here, and he's off to the second level and down to the third level. That's just such impressive burst by a running back. And I'm telling you, most running backs, TJ Watt has them dead to rights. Not a lot of running backs.
He's at least gonna put a hand on him.
Yeah. Not a lot of running backs will be able to get free from TJ Watt there. But that burst to go from 0 to 60 is so impressive. So again, he's feeling it. He's trusting his legs again. And then this last one, I talk about outside zone, one of my favorite run concepts. And to be able to really have that vision that he has, the path is just this is, I mean, you don't have to have great vision to be able to see this, but just look at the footwork to be able to say, hey, I'm going to set the path here. And then I know that the defense is flowing that way. Let me plant my inside foot, get to the outside, and then that burst again. And it's textbook running the outside zone. But Breece Hall does a really good job of spacing because some running backs, depending on their style, they'll make a very drastic like lateral cut here, but they'll lose speed making that cut. With Breece Hall, he doesn't lose speed. You have this Matt Waldman likes to use this term, but this curvilinear movement where you're not losing speed when you make that cut, and that's what Breece Hall does here. Sorry, let me go back here, but that's what Breece Hall does here. He uses that curvilinear movement to be able to maintain that speed out of the cut and get downhill with big bursts. So,
now, I think while his burst and his agility and his trust is coming back to his legs, the breakaway speed just isn't the same as what it was in his rookie season. Because
I think that I didn't really pay attention to that much. I know that he had one screen, so I'd have to compare that run that he had on that screen to his rookie year because I remember he broke one his rookie year. But yeah, there
was one in the Denver game in his rookie season, first or second week, where
he took
that boy to the house.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking about. So I have to compare the two. I didn't notice that, but I mean, yeah, that could be the case. And even if he doesn't have that though, like that confidence, that vision, and the burst is still there to be able to do some damage. So I'm very hopeful for Breece Hall. We'll get into Jets talk in a little bit, but if the Jets are going to be good, Breece Hall is going to be one of the reasons they are. So yeah, our third clip. A pair of touchdowns by rookie Micah Parsons. So impressive. This guy was hyped up so much this offseason as being like, hey, he's pro ready. He's going to take the league by storm immediately. And he absolutely did in his first game. You have this one. He's going to he comes from, let's see, where is he on this one? Yeah, he's coming from the condensed formation here. So he's got, you see him lined up over here. Yeah, so he's the number one wide receiver to the trip side.
Yep.
So he's going to release it. And it looks like he's just making
skinny post.
Also, skinny post. And then it's but the thing I want to point out here, and we can't zoom in, but man, he's going to showcase these hands. We talk about hands, right? We talk about hands with Saquon. Micah Parsons. Hands. Look at this. Catching away from his frame, so smooth and just so natural, and he gets this touchdown. But the one I really want to highlight is
that was a cannon of a throw by Baker too.
Yeah, good throw by Baker. But this is the one I really wanted to break down. So the game-winning touchdown to Parsons. So Sean Syed did a really good breakdown of this. I didn't catch it when I first watched the play, but apparently the Bucs ran this play. They flipped it. But they ran this play 2 other times earlier in the fourth quarter and gathered information from it. So shout out to Sean Syed for pointing that out. That credit goes to him. But yeah, what happens here on this play is you want to keep an eye on the safety because what he's going to do, you're going to have The number 2 receiver, I think that Mike Evans, he's going to run that in-breaker.
To the far side of the field.
Yeah, on the trip side again. Buka's the number 1. He's over here. He's going to run a post. Evans already highlighted. He's going to run an in-breaker. And then the number 3 receiver is going to run just kind of like a stop route. This safety is going to crash on Mike Evans' route. He's going to play the in-breaker. And what that does is it leaves one-on-one with Buka against the corner, and that's the key. When they ran this the 2 other times earlier in the fourth quarter, they saw that the safety was crashing down on Mike Evans' route. They pull this out one more time, and it leads to the go-ahead touchdown. And again, what did I say earlier? Hands. Look at that dime from.
And you can see on that hit on. I want to say probably run it back again.
Yep.
Right there at the 10-yard line, that hard sell to the outside just to get the
DB. Yeah. Yep. Let's see that. Boom. Yep. Just to make sure that the DB opens up. Yep. Good. Yeah, that's a good point. So DB is going to open up just a little bit, and that gives just enough to be able to get that window, the throwing window, and he gets it. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Awesome. So Baker Mayfield, incredible throw. Egbuka, awesome hands, good route running. The Bucs did a really good job. They won the game. So Egbuka, you have my attention.
These divisions are going to be. I'm here for it all year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Penix balled out. Kyle hit 60 yards. We saw what Bijan was doing. Yeah, man. And once the Bucs gets Chris Godwin back on the field, that's just another weapon. Chris Godwin, Egbuka, Mike Evans.
It's gonna be awesome. SJM chimes in. He says, "What up, fam? I've been asleep at the wheel. Chuck's an LGP show. Where the frick have I been? Yeah, we started this new show earlier this year. Film Don't Lie. It's pre-recorded usually, and we usually go or usually post, and it's up on Wednesday mornings. But with no hockey show today, we have the opportunity to go live tonight. So SJM, thanks for chiming in. We will be doing this
always, sir. Always appreciate it.
Yep. And we got, again, Film Don't Lie. We do film breakdowns and we talk about the league as a whole, not just the Eagles. So, tune in. Again, our show is usually out every Wednesday morning. So, last clip. I want to say that.
Oh, my God. This made me so mad.
When I always say that stats lie, and I know we had our difference with this. This is why I say stats lie. Because if you look at the box score, you would say, oh, CJ Stroud had a bad game. If you watch the film, and that's why we are here, we watch the film. Film don't lie. CJ Stroud was balling. Balling. And this play made me so mad because this should have been a completion. This was a dime by CJ Stroud. Absolute dime. But the defensive back rips it away from the receiver and gets the interception. That's not on Stroud. Oh my God. You see this? This is so the Rams are playing a type of, it looks like, cover 2. So you've got the safety and you've got the corner. He's going to rip the whole shot. You know how difficult that whole shot is, Pete, right? For a quarterback, that is a small window.
Yeah, some would say when I first started watching it, my very first initial watch through, I was like, did I see him hold on to it just a tad too long? Could he have let it go a little earlier? But then when watching the second, third, or fourth time, I'm like, really, he's no matter where he's gonna let it go, he's throwing over top to try to keep it short. So he's trying to drop it into a bucket. And that's the tough throw. And his receiver had his hands on it. I don't know who 81 is. I don't know who that
is. Is that Cade? That's not Cade Stover, is it? Hold on. There's a depth chart. Hold on 1 second while I bring it up. Texans depth chart. 81 is Jaden Higgins, the rookie. So Higgins shouldn't be letting this go. Like, you can't let a defensive back rip it from you like this. This is because, and you were asking if the throw was late.
My first initial, when people first initially watch it, you're going to think he's late. You're going to think he's late. but there's really nowhere. No matter what, if he to get the air on the ball to get it to stop and drop in the bucket, he had like you can kind of see before Higgins is even out of his break yet, he's already in the throwing motion.
Yes, exactly. That's why I paused it. You see, oh wait, hold on, I gotta go back a little bit further. So here, let it go here. So Stroud's here, boom. So he's about to rip it, and Higgins is he's right about at his break. So the timing on this is perfect. The placement on this is pretty perfect. Like what? There's the corner can't get it.
Nope.
It's right where it's supposed to be.
The only way you can make this throw easier is if the play concept or the route concept of the play is better, to where maybe your two underneath routes are crossers to get that linebackers, to get some linebackers' attention. So whoever this is short at the 45, if that route concept was to run a deep cross, you're pulling the DB with them, and then you're also flashing somebody in front of the linebacker to make this throw a little bit easier for Stroud, to where maybe he doesn't have to throw it over the top of him.
This is also covered too, so that this corner isn't going to go anywhere. So even if you run that crosser, the corner is still going to play. I could argue that if they knew this was covered too, this is exactly why he threw it, because he knows that the corner is going to be playing the flat. He's going to be playing this. So
what was the original line of scrimmage?
It was at the 37. So at the 37, right? The corner has to play the shallow route right here, the flat. Yeah. So because of that, now he has a hole. Without this wide receiver playing here, as they call a control route, the corner can just drop, and then there's no window there. So the corner has to be there. Again, the corner still is not able to make the play. As you see, the corner goes back, and he's still not in the vicinity to make a play on the ball. So the ball is still like right where it's supposed to be.
The throw is a dime throw. The decision to throw it there, if you want to question that, if anything, and the 2nd and 22, line of scrimmage is a 37. We can clearly see, I think that's Chubb at the 40 with 5-6 yards in front of him. Don't get me wrong, the linebackers are going to crash on him, and you can kind of live the play third down. But, in the heat of the moment, I mean, CJ, you live or die with that throw.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2nd 22, you're down by 5. Yep. I know it's still the midway through the third quarter, but if it's 2nd 22, if you're throwing this, you better make sure you're able to make the throw. And
he made the throw.
And he made the throw. CJ Stroud is one of the only quarterbacks with that high level accuracy to be able to do it. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, this was all over the film. I'm watching. I had to pick one play from CJ Stroud from this game to showcase and break down. And I was like, there's so many to choose from, but I'm just going to pick the interception because this shouldn't have been an interception. And this is going to go against CJ Stroud, but it shouldn't. And that's what makes me mad, is he had such a good game, but the stats aren't going to show it. And yeah, it's just, it's so frustrating from my point of view, just because like it gets credited to the quarterback and when it shouldn't. But Stroud, I'm telling you guys now, if you didn't get a chance to watch that game, Stroud had an awesome game. Do not judge him.
I think he threw for 180. So a lot of passing yards were down. There wasn't a lot of 300-yard passers or 250-plus passers. I would say credit to this is to beat cover 2 with that route concept and that spot of the field. You have to make that type of grade A elite throw.
Yep.
But if you're off by a little bit, things like this can happen. Hence is the whole point of a well-executed cover 2. So
you could argue that maybe he shouldn't have trusted a rookie wide receiver, I guess, like if you want to throw that argument out. But I mean, Higgins is an early round draft pick, right? So yeah, so he's got to make that play for his quarterback. So SJM does say, I was telling my buddies pre-draft this year, people should be higher on Egbuka. He's a talented and has that game-breaking ability that many saw in the other two OSU wide receivers, Harrison and Wilson. Yeah, so like Luka's really showing he's a guy. So I love it. All right, awesome for film room session. Let's get to 5-step drop, and we're gonna do the exercise. This should be fun. I don't know which way you're gonna go with this, so it's gonna be interesting to see what you say. But we got 5 narratives, 5 takes from week 1, and each of us are going to say whether we think it's an overreaction, as many people do after week 1, or is it legitimate? Is it a sign of things to come? So the first one let's talk about from the game of the week, arguably, until Monday night happened. But for Sunday, the game of the week was Bills-Ravens was Sunday night, but from the afternoon games. The game of the week up until that point was Jets-Steelers. And so I say this, Justin Fields and the Jets are for real. Is that an overreaction or is that legitimate?
I mean, you would think Jets-Steelers, 2 defensive-minded head coaches. If I'm not mistaken, outside of Sunday Night Football, that was the second highest scoring game in the league. They scored Jets-Steelers, 65 points, 66 points. It was 34-32.
Yep.
Like, if you tell any Jets fans that you're putting up 32 points in your season opener against the Steelers, you'll take that. And you would think that's a win. Obviously, it did not turn out like that. I like what I saw at Justin Fields. We've seen the steps that Breece Hall took. Garrett Wilson looks like he's fully engaged after one game. And Breland Allen did have a touchdown. I think he had an 8-yard rush for a touchdown.
Yes, he did. Yep.
I would say Bills don't have to be worried at this point. By you talk to me in the next 12, 13 weeks, would I be shocked? I think I'll put us there. I think the Jets finish with a winning record because they have the Dolphins in the division, and I don't think they're bouncing back from that. I think the Dolphins are going to be a fire sale come trade deadline.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to say this is legitimate. I do think now. Will Justin Fields look the same as he did on Sunday? Is he going to look that way every single week? No, I don't think he's going to look like that every single week because that was like near perfect. Like he was insanely good. So I don't expect him to be that level play every single week. He's going to have some weeks where he's not as good. Maybe even struggle. But over the course of the season, if you're telling me overall, what do I expect from Justin Fields? I'm going to it's just me still being hopeful on Justin Fields, but I'm going to say that he maintains a good level of play. I mean, we saw it from him last year with the Steelers before he got erroneously benched for Russell Wilson, right? He was playing well. He was playing pretty well. Now with the Jets, he has his opportunity. I think he's going to play well. SJM says, I agree, Chucks. As long as the Jets don't play from behind often and can keep running the ball efficiently, if Fields has to throw the ball with no mixed attack, it's a different story. That's a fair point. Yeah, like, if he has to play from behind and they have to continuously throw, that could change things. So, and is Fields the type of quarterback who can play from behind like that? We don't know. Probably not, but is he the type of quarterback who you can play with a lead or like play on an even when things are even playing field and continue to be a threat? Absolutely. So I hear you on that. SJM also says, I do believe the NFL is trending more towards balanced offensive attacks, hence QBs having less passing yards but higher QB yards. Yeah, I think it is trending. Efficiency. Yep, I agree. So second topic, we kind of already alluded to this. You went through it, but Miami Dolphins are the worst team in the league. So I think you're going to say legitimate.
Talent-wise, no.
But we're not talking about talent. Are they going to be the worst team in the league this year?
Something is amiss in Miami. Something's in the water, man. The mojo is gone.
Mm-hmm.
The mojo is gone. They lost 30-6
against the Colts.
Daniel Jones and the Colts. They looks like they had the game
33-8.
33-8.
Yep.
I don't know. And who's the backup there in Miami?
And where Miami? I don't know.
See, and somebody else said, I forget where I heard it, but it's kind of like Mike McDaniels at this point. When you have Jalen Waddle, you have Tyreek Hill. You can't. These guys don't need a governor. You can't. Like, he's taking a third of his playbook out because Tua just can't do it. He just doesn't have the arm to make those type of throws downfield that you need to make them. And not so much need to make, but if you're going to use this offense and its assets at its highest ability, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who the QB is. I don't know if they can pull something, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't have gave Tua that contract regardless. I think that maybe the organization felt pressure because Tua kept coming back out there out those concussions. But that's where you have like, hey, man, like I get it, but yeah, long term, this ain't because now you on the books for. Didn't Tua get like almost a $200 million contract too?
Yeah, how much it was, but it was significant. It was significant. I mean, Tua has shown overall he's a solid to good quarterback. He has to play. You have to tailor the system in a certain way. He has to play a certain way for him to be effective. But you can win with him if you play that certain way and all things align. So, is he a horrible quarterback? No. But I think the more important thing is, and this is why I think this is legitimate, is because the vibes are just bad. And they've been bad since the end of last year. And when you saw like Tyreek Hill and him saying at the end of the year, I'm not going to be on the team this year. I forget what I'm paraphrasing, but from that moment on, with Tyreek Hill, and then maybe we can even go even further back with Fangio leaving. When Fangio left, all the defensive players blamed him, but then that defense did not show up last year, so it clearly wasn't him. Maybe that was the start of it too, but it's just so much going wrong, and this is why we have to remind ourselves that when it comes to head coaching, there's more to it than play design and play calling. And Mike McDaniel is awesome at that stuff, but you have to also
what's the intangible?
Yeah, like you have to set a culture, you have to lead men, and as much as Nick Sirianni gets overlooked because of what he doesn't do as an offensive play caller, you have to respect what Sirianni does as a culture setter. And that's what Mike McDaniel right now isn't doing or doesn't have. So he fits the mold, Mike McDaniel, probably of someone isn't a good head coach, but an excellent OC. And that's probably where he belongs. So
I mean, so it's simple as like he's not the leader of 53 men.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's tough because you're in Miami. Like there's already distractions around you. Like it's Miami. You know what I mean? So if you don't have that strong personality, but you have those X and O skills, you don't have strong coordinators behind you. Because like you said, Fangio is a strong coordinator. He's a strong personality, but he's I want to say but he gets shit done. Right.
He does.
And players didn't like that. But the performance is going. So we'll see what Stephen Ross wants to do.
Yeah. And SJM says Tua has a ton of talent around him. Zero excuse. Waddle and Hill are bona fide studs. McDaniel has used multiple running backs who produced despite Tua's shortcomings. McDaniel has been underwhelming. Yeah, I mean, to everyone, I know there was a whole big debate on Twitter a few months ago, like people saying Tua is absolutely better than Jalen Hurts. I think we can kind of put that to rest. You can't use supporting cast because he has a really good tandem. Wide receiver tandem, Waddle and Hill. He has running backs. He has a good play caller.
Yeah, intangibles is just different, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, number 3. The Colts made the right decision to name Daniel Jones as their starter.
Through week 1, yes. Through week 1, yes. And I mean, I feel sorry because it feels like it's not really about A-Rich's talent, what he could be on the field. It's like his head and everything off the field. And Colts were lucky enough to take a chance on Daniel Jones. Fresh start, fresh scenery. It may work because we know Steichen can get points on the board if you can play quarterback half decent. You know what I mean? He can scheme away. He can find a way. Through week 1, they look like geniuses. Chris Ballard may keep his job.
Through week 1, they look like geniuses. I am not falling for it. I'm going to say overreaction. Okay. They played the Dolphins, who I just said could be the worst team in the league. So, let's put context into this too. And I've told you this in our chats and everything like that. I think Daniel Jones does provide them stability, which is weird to say of Daniel Jones, compared to Anthony Richardson, he is the more stable guy because he can run that offense. And Daniel Jones is not a horrible QB. He obviously has some talent and can throw the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts were a solid team this year with Daniel Jones and, as their quarterback. And I do think that's going to hold true. I think they're going to be like, maybe a 9-win team is give or take, that wouldn't
be tested Sunday. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. The 9-win team still. And I'm sticking to exactly what, this win did not change my stance on them. I do not think they're going to be bad with Daniel Jones. I think they're going to be very solid. My whole point was, in the long run, big picture, it doesn't make sense to me. It still does not make sense to me to go. Their whole process of Anthony Richardson, it was just so flawed. It's the process of getting to here that really bugs me about them. So if you want to look at it in a sense of, did they make the right decision going with Daniel Jones so that they could win as many games as possible this season? Okay, sure. I will say yes. But if the question is, did they make the right decision for their franchise overall long term? I'm going to still say no. I think you don't get anywhere with Daniel Jones as a starting QB. And I still think that if they have a 9-win season with Daniel Jones, does that necessarily mean Steichen and Ballard are going to keep their jobs? I don't think so. I don't think that necessarily means that. I don't know why. I know people have made that argument that, they're going to keep their jobs if they can win with Daniel Jones, even if it's just a borderline wildcard team. I don't agree with that. I think there's a realm possibility where if they barely miss the playoffs but have 9 wins, they still lose their job. I still think that's very possible. So I disagree there. I think it's an overreaction. They're going to be tested because I think their next opponent is the Broncos. So we'll see very quickly how legitimate that offense is. And if they play well against the Broncos and that defense, then yeah, I will start to.
I'm feeling like I can see is Anthony Richardson this generation's DeMarcus Russell.
It could end up being that way, but it's also going to depend on how Anthony Richardson takes this. You know what I mean? Like DeMarcus Russell just never had
not the player, but the person.
The person, yeah.
The person.
Yep. So that's what it's going to depend on. All right, number 4, the Giants' defensive line was overhyped going into this season. They were pretty much blanketed. They were non-existent against the Commanders, and it's not like the Commanders.
I think the whole Giants team was non-existent. Now, talking about a franchise how we got here, I'm a firm believer that you should have just started Jackson Dart.
I agree. You
just
see how bad
start the kid, and let's see.
Yep. I agree with that.
Because you know Russ is not going to take chances. He's going to play safe, and that's not doing you any favors.
Well, Russell Wilson's it's Russell Wilson is, if he doesn't see that first read, it's either just try to run or he's going to just launch it. And that's the thing. Like Russ Ball now is because he doesn't have the same athleticism. He's just going to launch it deep. That's Russ Ball, and he did it several times, just hoping that it would connect, and it's not efficient. It's not efficient ball.
But I am. I'm not buying it yet. I'm not buying the fact that it was overhyped. It's hard because, like you said,
it's overreaction.
It's overreaction.
I agree with that. I think it's an overreaction. It's week 1. I think the Giants. I think that line is too talented to just be like this all season. It's week 1, the division opponent. So, yeah.
And they got Thursday night football is a doozy. Commanders Packers. It is a doozy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah, we both agree on overreaction. And now, the last one, and this is going to be the most fun one, to me at least. Number 5, Justin Herbert will be in the MVP conversation. And before we get to the SGM does ask, I'm not sure if you guys discussed it, but Herbert looks poised and fully in sync with Harbaugh's system and tootlets. He's got 2 wide receivers in McConkey and Allen, who arguably run the best option routes.
And Quentin Johnson is going to feast.
He looks better. Quentin Johnson looks better.
Stand by. Hold, please. Got to take a look at something real quick.
Okay. I'll answer it first. I think this is legitimate. I think this is a sign of things to come. I think that Justin Herbert is going to, because the whole conversation about Justin Herbert now, remember, is just playoffs, right? Is, he hasn't done anything in the playoffs. Well, we're not talking about playoffs. We're talking about MVP, which is regular season award. I think second year under Jim Harbaugh, I think it's all going to come together. I don't think in the end that I still don't think the Chargers will win the division, but they're going to be like, if they don't win the division, they're going to be the number 5 seed, like the first wild card. So I do think they're going to be so good, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility they win the division, depending on how things go with the Chiefs and their wide receivers and all that. But yeah, Justin Herbert looked phenomenal on Friday night against the Chiefs. We got into an argument about Herbert on last week's show, but I think Herbert this year is going to really take that next step and turn some eyes. But I know that it doesn't matter until he does something in the playoffs. So I understand.
So, when you said that the last step was he will be considered for MVP. So this could be considered, or do you feel as if you're saying I think that's legitimate? Like he may garner an MVP vote.
I think he's going to be like one of the top contenders for it this year. Maybe not saying he'll win it, but I think
I'm not saying win. Do you think he would get a vote?
Yes, I think he can get a vote this year. I think the Chargers team.
I would have to agree because I'm looking at their schedule. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree.
Yeah.
I have to agree.
Yep, he looks good. He looks good, and I hope he can keep it up so that he can shut up some people online. So yeah. All right, that's our 5-step drop. Then let's conclude now.
So,
no huddle.
SJS says the Chargers need an edge rusher or hope one develops. They could be a sneaky team to trade for a Trayvon Walker or somebody like that outside of the Eagles, to be honest with you, and that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Yep. All right, no huddle. Anything for you? I got here. I'll start it off. The Geno Smith era with the Raiders got off to.
They're supposed to be tanking.
They're
supposed to be bad.
Did you see his passing chart? Look, I'm going to bring it up. Look how many deep shots he's had.
That boy is a slinger, boy.
God, I forgot. I should have pulled up. I should have kept the tweet, but there was a stat where Geno Smith completed. I forget how many completions of 15 plus yards, and that was like he led the league this week or something like that. He is just bombs away. We talk about as Eagles fans, we talk about Jalen Hurts as having one of the best deep balls in the game. I think Geno Smith, you have to also give him consideration. Just pure deep balls, Geno Smith is right there too. He's so good. So I'm excited for Geno Smith and the Raiders. In terms of I don't think they're going to be a good team.
Right.
I think they're just going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch.
But I think they're going to be coached up like with what's his name escaping me now?
Chip Kelly? Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly.
I was about to say Pete Cowan. I don't know. Pete Cowan is a world-renowned putting coach for golf. So sorry. But Pete Carroll is there now. So they're going to be coached like hard, right? They're going to be coached in a way, in a manner that kind of younger players are going to be able to get the best out of. And I was shocked that they started to use Michael Mayer in the passing offense as well, which kind of sniped my dreams of having Michael Mayer in Midnight Green.
I know. Yeah, they want to use him. Like I said, I would love to have Michael Mayer, but they want to keep him. So
yeah.
And
Genty looked good.
Of course.
I mean, Pats looked good at a point in time, but I mean, still away. But Geno, man, the familiarity that he has with Carroll there, they click, and he resurrected his career in Seattle, and they're keeping that train rolling a few states south.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'm gonna take the over in Monday night's game. That's the late Monday night game.
What is it? Yeah, because it's a double header.
Yeah, it's one at 7 and one at 10.
Yeah. What's the 10 o'clock game? It's Raiders.
It's Raiders and Chargers.
Oh, that's gonna be good. Oh, that's gonna be good. Yep, I'm
in
excited.
in Vegas.
Yep. Let's talk about real quick also the Ravens Bills game, because I don't know how that's a lot.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. If you're a Ravens fan,
just as a football fan though,
it was so enjoyable.
Oh, so good. I mean, I love Lamar, and this was not on him. Obviously, I love Lamar. So I naturally kind of like root for the Ravens because I like that. I like Derrick Henry. But yeah, that comeback, and as good of a night that Derrick Henry had, it all gets washed away. I don't want to say washed away.
It gets
overshadowed due to his fumble. It's one crucial mistake overshadows everything he did earlier in that game, and it's so crazy.
So he fumbles, and that was the drive to get them within 2 after they scored after he fumbled.
No, they scored. They were down by 15.
Oh, it was like it was 40-25.
Yeah, so they're down by 15. They scored, and then on the ensuing possession, that's where Henry fumbled.
That's what I'm saying. So it was 40-25. They scored, so it was 40-32. And then they score again. They went for 2, so it's 40-38. Right?
Yeah.
So my point is, don't get me wrong, he fumbled. But the Ravens had 2 fucking possessions to control their own destiny. And for whatever reason, they couldn't get it done because they kept giving the ball back to the Bills. So you figure 40-32, he fumbles. Okay, cool. You didn't really have out possession there. It's 40-38.
Yep. Would you have gone for a 4th down?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Me too. Because knowing who's on the other side of it, if you give him the ball, game over. Like,
especially in that building.
Yep.
And all the momentum was with them. And you act like you don't have the 2 out of 3 last year's MVP on your team. The one who really should have won it over the dude that won it last year.
Yeah. Put the ball in his hands late in the game.
Better yet, call a screen with Derrick Henry and say it's okay. Go get us his first down so we can win this game. Everybody walked away from Sunday Night Football saying, hey, the Bills may have had the best player, but Baltimore was a better team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because and even in that game had 81 points. I'm like, where's the defense?
Yeah. SJM says Burrow, Jackson, but most likely Allen will finally get over the Mahomes gauntlet this year. You can feel it. I think
Mahomes is a gauntlet this year, man.
Yeah, I think it'll be either the Bills or the Ravens. I think so. I don't think the Bengals can. They don't have the defense to pull it off. I don't think. But yeah, I think Bills or Ravens. It's John Harbaugh. Sorry, John Harbaugh has this reputation of losing these leads. I think the stat is since 2021. Ben Solak put this on Twitter. Since 2021, the Ravens have had, I think, 8 losses in comeback fashion, which is 3 more than the next team.
Wow.
That's an average of 2 a season, I think. Yeah. I think it's 2021, 2022, something like that. Check Ben Solak's Twitter to be sure what the tweet is. But John Harbaugh, man, like, you've got to.
And something with ideology, something in those moments where he
old school
he coaches not to lose instead of to win.
Mm-hmm. Old school thing again. The whole punting situation. Give the ball to Lamar Jackson. The old school mentality is to punt the ball and let your defense win it. In today's football, bro, you have Josh Allen. That 30 to 40 yards means nothing to Josh Allen, to Lamar Jackson, to Patrick Mahomes, to Joe Burrow, to Jalen Hurts, who was a clutch quarterback. Like that, Matthew Stafford. It means nothing. They can make that up in 1 or 2 plays easily.
And the thing is, what? as a Ravens fan, right? If you're a Ravens fan or you're someone that follows the team closely, what would you rather? What do you feel more comfortable with, right? Punting a ball, defense that already gave up 38, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or putting the ball in your playmaker's hands and go get me a first down so we can ice this game.
Yeah.
Because at some point, Greg says it here, Harbaugh overthinks it at times. At some point, you're going to go ahead and have to make a decision that's against the grain that you're not comfortable with and take a chance to get to a Super Bowl. How many times did we see Nick do it last year?
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and in these games with this type of talent, that's what you're going to have to do. That's what's going to take the win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they said, like McDermott, I got Josh. I'm going for it on fourth. Ugliest tush push ever. I don't know how it was ever effective. It was way too hard. But Josh man, boy, he's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
His arm. He's just a problem.
Yeah, I think the stat was there was another stat I heard on the podcast where if you go by what are the metrics? Is it EPA late in games? Josh Allen is the leader amongst all quarterbacks in EPA in late game situations. So I don't know if that. Don't quote me. I don't know if that's the exact stat, but it's something where he leads the league in clutch moments by some metric. So it's insane. Yeah, SGM also says the Ravens are loaded with talent. Just no excuse to lose the leads the way they do. It's insane when you dive into the numbers. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, but that was a fun game as a football fan, and I hope we get a rematch of that in the playoffs. You most likely will. Any other quick topics for No Huddle from you?
Any other quick topics for me? Trying to think around the league real quick. Anything else that escaped me? Bengals got lucky to win that game. Every metric and every stat, if you look at the box score, they should have lost that game. Like when I saw Chase Brown. Man, the NFC South may be outside of the Panthers. Maybe Saints kind of held in there. I like what I saw at Arizona.
They used Marvin Harrison a little bit better.
In a better fashion. They moved
him around this time a little bit. Yeah. So that's a good sign.
And our prediction about the NFC West may hold true because I got George Kittle in 3 leagues and this bitch is out now 4 weeks and Brock Purdy may be out too. So
banged up. Oh my God. It's really going to come down to, I don't know.
But what we thought about the defense in Seattle, full year, second year under Mike McDonald, Sam Darnold still picking up kind of where he left off. JSN taking that next step forward to be the lead man.
The issue with the Seahawks in that game wasn't the defense. It was you could say that Tariq Woolen really gave up 2 egregious plays on that game-winning drive, which I'm not excusing him.
But that's
overall
that's his.
That's his thing, right? So overall, through the whole game, overall, from a macro point of view, the defense was awesome. They played a great game. The issue was the offense. They couldn't move the ball, and that's why they kept giving the ball back to the Niners because the offense couldn't move the ball. Kenneth Walker looks like he's still hurt. He doesn't have that same explosiveness. So that's a concern. And the blocking was good, but inconsistent. Like they weren't able to generate a lot of explosive plays from the running game. And that's, the offense has to be better. And JSN is awesome, but they've got to get more people involved. They've got to do something. And Darnold really, he showed why, and we said this last week, he showed why it was a downgrade from Geno to Sam.
No, and then also the couple that Geno showed why.
Yeah, just, like I said, Geno, it's a downgrade. You have to just hope that the only hope is that the running game clicks. You have to get that running game going, and then Sam Darnold will be fine. But if there's no running game, as we saw late on that last drive where Sam fumbled, you can't rely on him to drop back in pure passing situations and take over. You just can't. As Sham says, yeah, Seahawks secondary fell asleep at the wheel. Brutal. Their offense has no rhythm. Yeah, they're figuring stuff out on the Clint Quebec. I do think at some point they'll figure it out. But man, like you got to figure it out soon.
And now this is the time to strike while the iron is hot, because the best team in the division, according to most, is now not at 100%.
Yep.
It's very easy if they don't get it right. The Rams could take a step back, and we could be sitting here like we were looking at what was it 3 years ago, where through the first 8 games of the year, the Cardinals were 7-1 or 8-0. Remember we were talking about Kyler for MVP?
Yeah, that was 3 years ago. Oh my God. I can't remember what year that was. Yeah.
Was it the last year that Kingsbury was the head coach?
I believe you could be right. Or was it? I don't know.
If that's the case, then it was 2022.
It was when Kyler was MVP consideration, and then he got hurt or something like that. Yeah. I don't remember which season.
I want to say that was 22, because I want to say that's when Gannon stayed in Arizona and took the job.
Was it 22? It could have been 22 or 21. Because it definitely wasn't 2023.
No.
It was either 2022 or 2021. Yeah, one of them. But yeah. It's whew. All right, Pete. Great show. We went long, but hey, like we're live. So I mean, it was good to get the chat involved. We thank you again to Jacob Wessendorf. Check him out if you want some awesome Packers content, or if you're on Twitter, Buffalo Tickets. Right. If you're on Twitter, give him a follow. He's a great follow. He likes the Eagles too. That's why me and him got along. We talk Packers, Eagles, and just football, and he's really good follow. So check him out for his work. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Again, Film Don't Lie will be here. Our show will run every Wednesday morning usually, but if we can, we will go live on Tuesday nights, and we'll let you. I usually let you know on Eagles Talk on Monday nights if we plan to go live with them live. But we will be here all season. We'll be giving you NFL league content, talk about the whole league. We'll give you film breakdowns as usual, and just have a lot of fun. So definitely check us out. If you guys have any requests, any questions, anything you guys want us
that you want us to look at,
comment. I check comments as much as I can. Comment on the video, on YouTube video, or send us a DM or comment on one of the reels or whatnot. But definitely let us know. Covering the league as a whole is such I don't want to say monumental, but it's a tall task because there's so many topics to cover. So if there's something you want us to talk about a given week, let us know, and we'll definitely throw that in and discuss it. So we're here all season. Thank you to our sponsor again, Alonzi Travel. Remember, if you are planning a vacation or interested in planning a vacation, especially Disney or Universal, hit me up, and I will be glad to help you out. For myself, for OGP, and for the rest of us at A2D Radio, we appreciate the support. Enjoy week 2, and we will see you next week. Peace.